Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back, VM Nation. Welcome back, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Guys, this is going to be an episode like there's never been before. Guys, with Christmas coming up, everybody's watching commercials about, the newest car, the newest phone, the newest clothes, the newest jewelry. What about the one person out there that just wants to live till Christmas? And that's what we're going to be talking about with my friend Brian and his beautiful bride. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, Kurt Balish, Balish Woodworks. I love you, brother. You're truly amazing. You make the best woodworking in the United States. Tammy Moses, the Hoarding Solution. Thank you so much for changing this world one home at a time. And also, thank you to Vertical Momentum Coffee, which if you need coffee that's going to kick your ass, this is it. Don't let Monday kick your ass. Let you kick its ass. You guys can get that at verticalmomentumpodcast.com. Brian, my brother, how are you doing? How is the bride doing tonight?
Well, we're doing pretty awesome. She's battling. She's fighting. She's a fighter. I mean, that was one of the things that I had to get her out of the hospital because she doesn't do a lot of pharmaceuticals, and I could see it was taking away that fight. And her being half Chilean, she's definitely got that Latin fight in her. And now she's getting it back since she's got home. And she cuts people off really fast when they start speaking death over her. She's like, "Oh no, I'm not hearing that. No, that's not."
So take us back. Where are you from? Where'd you come from? What state did you live in? And tell us about your military service and also what your recruiting story was like in the military.
Oh man. So I grew up in the military. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was an Air Force brat, and we lived all over the place. I claim Mississippi because that's where I went to high school, and that's where all my family's from, where my dad's from. But really, I lived all over the world. I was born in Germany. We lived in a couple states after that, and then we went back to Germany, and then we ended in Mississippi. And then I joined the Army because I was in Job Corps. I was a bum. It's like I dropped out of high school, ended up in Job Corps. Dropped out of Job Corps, ended up at a friend's house in Louisiana in a trailer. And I went to take somebody to the doctor, a friend, and while I was sitting outside and they were inside, I saw the Army sign and it said, "The Army wants you." And I was like, "Yeah, it does." And I drove down there and I was like, "Hey, when do I sign up?" And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Where do I sign up? I'm ready to go. Just get me out of here. I gotta leave." And that was it. I joined the Army. It was probably the best thing I ever did. I was 20 years old. I turned 21 in basic training. You know when they do the live fire over your head?
Yeah.
That was my 21st birthday on that day.
Now, what was your job in the military?
I was supply. I was everybody's buddy,
Yeah. I always treated my supply guy. I always treated him great. And him and the guys that did the chow, I always made sure I took care of the mess sergeants.
Yeah. I ended my career though as a Army Master Fitness Trainer and a combatives instructor. So I went a different route than supply.
Now, how many years did you have in?
22.
So you're retired now. So what made you retire after 22 years besides getting the letter? And what was your transitioning like out of the military?
Well, I had retired from the reserves, and so I was already functioning as a civilian. But I know, so in 2012, so I got out of the active duty. I went into the reserves, and then I immediately deployed, and so I was still active duty. And so 2012, end of 2012, I come back and I met my wife at that time frame. And it was funny because when me and her met, man, I was struggling. I struggled for years in our marriage because I was trying to figure, that we don't realize how much is taken care of for us while we're in. And then one day I came home, I was still in the reserves, and she was like, because she would ask me, "Well, what do you mean you don't know how to do that?" "I don't know how to do that. I'd call somebody. Somebody do that for me." And so when I came home from work, I was a head trainer for Anytime Fitness. And I came home from work one day and she was like, I get it. And I was like, what? And she was like, because I had a dental appointment. I had to do, like I was cat 4 dental, whatever. So I had to go do my dental appointment. And my reserve unit sent me a bunch of paperwork for it. And she was like, she opens it up and she goes, they sent you a strip map. They sent you the paperwork. They filled it out for you. All you got to do is sign. And they told you where to sign it. They made your appointment for you. All you got to do is show up. I was like, yeah. She was like, okay, I get it. Now I understand why you don't know how to do half the things that you need to know how to. And so I think there was a struggle there. I think that sometimes we focus on PTSD with soldiers, and military members, but sometimes I don't think it's PTSD. I think it's over institutionalization. We get so comfortable, and there's an overwhelmness of all the stuff. Civilian life is chaotic. So you go from absolute order to absolute chaos, and then you don't have any battle buddies.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of crazy, but she has filled that role. She has been my battle buddy, and has pulled me out of.
Once I found out, that I've had over 350 interviews. That a lot of people that struggle when they get out is because they no longer have a mission. They don't have a job, so they don't have money coming in, and they don't have that camaraderie. And a lot of people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to, other things. How was it fitness that saved you, or did you battle any demons?
No, I'm pretty secure in my faith with Christ, so I didn't have any of those I had bouts of depression, but I pushed them out, and I was just like, no, because I dealt with that as a teenager, and so I knew what that was, and I was like, no, you're not coming here. You're not coming here. And I did battle with trying to figure out which route I was going to go, whether it was going to be fitness or logistics, because then I ran into the issue, and this is another thing that I've seen training, because I've trained a lot of guys that were, former military and stuff like that, being a coach for men, and a lot of times you find that you can't even do the job that you did in the military because you don't have the right credentials. Because we would operate up here, like for instance, I was in logistics, and I was actually a logistician. I took the 90 Alpha course, which is the logistician course, not just the supply course. But I couldn't perform that job in the civilian world because I'd have to have a master's degree. And so I couldn't get any of the jobs that I was qualified for. But when I would sit down for interviews, guys would be like, for lower jobs, they'd be like, man, you know too much. I can't pay you. And so I had to walk away from what I know and try to recreate who I was, because I didn't have the degree to go stay in the field, unless I went government contractor. And then I'm competing against all the other NCOs that got out now. I'm competing against sergeant majors and warrant officers. I'm not going to win against them.
So now you said you're a man of faith. So what is it like? We're sometimes in life we're just trucking along, everything's going okay, and then suddenly you come down. Your wife comes down with the big C word, cancer. What was that like, especially being a person of faith? Take us back to that moment. What happened that day? Or did she started getting sick? Is that how you noticed?
So the first time, so this is our second battle. The first time, it was August of 2019. She went for, a woman's checkup, and she started bleeding after that. So we thought they did something wrong. They cut her or something like that. And then for about 3 weeks, she's bleeding, and then it stopped. And then we went to, at the time I was doing gym rescue. So I was traveling the country, helping gyms get new clients and helping them, restructure their personal training programs and stuff like that. And so we went to a gym in Alabama, and while we were there, me and her were out walking one day at like this little shopping district, and there was this like stairs going up this like real steep, long staircase outside. And she was like, I can go up that. And I was like, nah, babe, don't walk up that. And I wasn't challenging her, but she took it as a challenge because that's the way she is. And so she was like, I can walk up that. And I was like, babe, don't do that. And she took off and she walked up it. She got all the way up it, but then she had to sit down because it took the wind out of her. So then I went and got the car and I picked her up. Well, that night, it opened up floodworks and she started bleeding. I ended up having to take her to the emergency room a couple of days later. And she was at 6 hemoglobin. And at this point, we still didn't know what was going on. It wasn't until February when she went. So she was bleeding this whole time. Like, I mean, she would stand up. She would be laying down. She would stand up and drop blood clots the size of my hand. And so we found out in February that it was cervical cancer. And so we were like, okay, we'll deal with this. We got this. And so I was working at the time. I was a shipping. I had stopped the job traveling around because now of where she was at, and started doing I was shipping manager for an optics company, and they were gracious. They helped at the beginning of it. They were, but it just, it went on for a year. That was February, and wasn't until October time frame, September it started getting really bad. She kept going to the emergency room, and we were trying to raise money for that whole year to get her to another hospital. And then right as we got all the money raised up, and actually we didn't raise all the money up. We had one person come through, and they paid for all of it. And then the hospital got scared and said, don't come. And we were like, what? Don't come. Well, this is our last ditch effort. We had nobody. So back up, nobody in America would touch her. They said tumor was too big. They're not going to touch her. Nobody would do anything about it. They were like, you need to do chemo. And we're like, no, we're not doing chemo. That's the one thing. We're not doing chemo. We're not doing radiation. We're not doing any of that. And so nobody would touch her in the US. Nobody would look at it. Nobody would operate on it. And so we were just at our wits' end. And we had an RV sitting out in front of the house, this house here. We had an RV sitting out there because she couldn't fly because she was bleeding all the time. And we were just like, and she couldn't walk. And we were just like, what are we going to do? Well, somebody called her up and said, hey, why don't you go check out this hospital? And so it's called Oasis of Hope. And that's where we're trying to get back to. So we called them up, and this was on a Thursday or Friday. And we said, hey, we need to get there now. This is emergency. And they were like, well, we can give you an appointment with Dr. Treas on Monday. And so we were like, okay, bet. So we got on the phone with him, and we told him everything. We laid it all on the table. We didn't want anybody scared or anything like that. He was like, anything's easy with Jesus. And we were like, bet, okay. And he was like, just get here. If I can move it, I can remove it. And so we got her there. It took us 4 days to drive across the U.S. We drove from here to San Diego. I dropped her off, and then I came back to go back to work. And that was on a Friday. We dropped her off Sunday. She was in surgery. 6 hours later, she was cancer-free. They got it removed completely. We were supposed to go back so she can continue treatments, and that's what we didn't do. And because we didn't do that, because we didn't push that, this tumor has now come back. And that's the point of the 60,000 total that we're trying to raise, is so that, because that's for a whole year worth of treatment. That's not just to deal with it right now. That's for a whole year worth of treatment, so she can go back and keep getting treatments until we know for sure it's not coming back. And then
now is the cancer back on the cervix, or didn't you say it showed up somewhere else?
Well, no. So it's in the area where her uterus would have been. So she has no uterus. So they did a full hysterectomy. She has no uterus, no ovaries. So what was killing her was actually not the cancer. It was a cyst on her ovary that was making her ovaries bleed. But so she has no ovaries. She has no uterus, none of that. Cervix is gone. All that's gone. But where all that was, a tumor has grown back. So it's in the same area. And they've checked her for all the bladder cancer markers and colon cancer. She has no other cancer markers whatsoever. Actually, I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just a weird situation, and I just got to get her there and get those treatments started.
Now, what kind of treatments are we talking about? I know we talked about it earlier, but I think it's really interesting that these are some treatments that they won't even do in the United States, especially the vitamin B17, which is really, really interesting because, you know, I was in the health and fitness industry for over 32 years, and we would try to get vitamin B17, which is apricots.
That's amazing.
Apricot seeds.
Yeah, it's apricots.
And they will not let us give it out. Why is that?
Well, because so they say it's poisonous, right? But the funny thing is with any plant, within itself, it's going to have, or around it, it's going to have a protection to whatever its poison is. But there's a tribe that actually processes these apricot seeds, and they eat them all the time. They have zero cancer. They have zero cancer rates. Zero. None whatsoever. This whole tribe has never, and they're in an area, and I can't remember where it's at. It's somewhere in India or Nepal or something like that. And they don't have any cancer at all. So they do B17, they do vitamin C, mega dosing of vitamin C, because vitamin C is another one that kills cancer.
Yep.
They do hyperbaric chambers, which is basically like they just put you in a heavily oxygenated environment. They do hypothermia. I'm trying to remember. Oh, and then they do dendritic and lymphocyte cell therapy. And so what that is they take your lymphocytes and your dendrite cells. They teach them how to find that tumor and kill it. And so they put these, then they multiply them, and they put these back in your body. And what happens is their mission is only to find that. And that's why you have to go back for treatments, is because eventually your body starts, other lymphocytes say, hey, you only know about this. Let me teach you about these other things. And so when they start learning about other things, you want them to only go after the cancer, because what cancer does is it turns itself off to your body. And so it basically says, I'm not here. Don't look at me. And so that's the problem with it, is it masks itself.
So what is the daily life in your household like right now?
Oh man, it's pretty she has to go to because there's pressure on her bladder, she has to go to the restroom almost every hour, if not hour and a half. Sometimes there's a little bit of a break, but like at night, sleep is a figment of the past. Like there's small blocks of sleep every hour and a half. She's up. 2 hours, she's up. And I'm up with her because I got to pick her up. So now once she's up, she can walk around, she can move around with the walker and stuff, but she can't get up. She has no strength to get up. And we've tried multiple different things. She has no strength to push herself up, none of that. So I have to pick her up so that she can go to the bathroom and then help her move around as far as that goes.
So now how are you guys surviving right now?
The grace of God. I mean, I'm a personal trainer online. I train men. So anybody needs personal training, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. That's what I love doing. I use different I like to get guys onto different modalities to train, like a mace. I got one right here. Homemade. That's a soccer ball and concrete.
Now, you worked with Jose, correct?
Yeah, I worked with Jose.
He's the one that actually makes my coffee. So
I just bought a bag.
Huh?
I just bought a bag.
Did you get it yet? Did it come in?
Yeah. Well, not yet. It just shipped out today. So as soon as I have it, I'm gonna do an unboxing.
There you go. So now,
Yeah.
how can our listeners and our friends, because this is going to go out, and then I'm going to push it out sometime this week to go hopefully worldwide. What can we do to help? Is there a website? Is there someplace we can go to donate to a GoFundMe or anything like that?
There is a GoFundMe, and I will share that link as well. You can go to my Facebook page on Facebook on PK Stacy, and you'll see it there. I've shared it multiple times. It's there on my Facebook page. Um, there's the GoFundMe. There's also Venmo, uh, Cash App. We got it all. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and that's pretty much it right there. Or some people have mailed us checks. That works too. I've put my address out there on a couple things, but that's what we've been doing so far.
But how
And
are
we
you
do.
guys eating? I mean, how are you keeping the lights on?
Well, I did have a job. I was working in security until I had to take a break with her. But right now, the main income is my fitness business.
All right, so talk to us a little bit about that. Tell, because there's people out there like me. You get out of the military, you kind of get fat, dumb, and happy, and you stop working out, you stop training, and then all of a sudden, New Year's coming in, the New Year's revolution. So, how does somebody get in touch with you? How can we work with you, and what kind of services do you provide?
So you can go to triconfit.com. That one's pretty easy to remember. Triconfit.com. And I have nutrition coaching and um, personal training, and it's all online. So what happens is once you come in, we'll do an intake packet. We'll get all that stuff done, and then I will shoot you a link to an app, and with that app, I appreciate that, John. I'll get in contact with you. With the app, your workout will be loaded into the app. You can also send me videos when you're working out. Hey, am I doing this correct? Yeah, you're doing this correct. And it's unlimited email access, unlimited text messaging, unlimited messages in the app itself. And then I try to keep my workouts, because the biggest thing another thing is I train for energy systems, not necessarily muscles, but energy systems. Because if you got the energy systems, the muscles are going to work. I mean, because that's what everybody complains, even bodybuilders and stuff. I don't have enough energy. We got to train the energy systems. Let's train for energy systems, not so much for muscles. The muscles come if you're training the energy systems. And that's the mindset that I come with, because Tricon Fitness is trichotomy. And that's where I train from. We're a three-part being. There's three contractions. There's three energy systems. I mean, I can go on. In fitness, there's three: rest, nutrition, and working out. So there's always a triune in our lives and in our makeup. And so that's
So
what I
now,
bring to the table.
now of course, we've been friends for I don't even know how many years we've been friends now, but for a long time, men, it seems like they just don't want to get fit, or is it hard getting clients now?
Well, I'll say, people ask me that, why do you train? Why do you want to go for men? Men are like, because 70% of the personal training is women. That's the main focus, is women, because women. But that's not where my passion is at. My passion is to see a guy succeed and get that drive back in his life, and and make it a habit, and stop the negative stuff, because especially nowadays, men are so attacked, and it's time that they have somebody in their corner that's cheering them on. Because really, when it comes down to it, the fitness training and all that, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about the guy I'm coaching. That's what it's about. It's about your success Your success is my success. And if it's coaching from excellence, because you're worth the excellence.
I love it. Now we're gonna last couple minutes we got. If anybody should be depressed and down in the dumps, it should be you guys. But because of your faith, it's keeping you strong and it's keeping you up and motivated. So if there's somebody out there right now struggling with their faith, because they say that if you don't feel close to God, you're the one that moved. He's always
Yeah.
there yesterday,
Yeah.
today, and tomorrow. So if there's
Yeah.
somebody out there struggling with their faith, what is something they can do in the next 24 hours to start to get some peace and some serenity in their lives?
Man, it just, what, ultimately it comes down to knowing you got to read your Bible. I mean, there's no, and read it from the aspect of he's good. He's good. Like Jesus said, somebody said, here's a good example. Somebody came to me and was sending me a bunch of stuff about God's got a purpose in your pain. God's got God, this is part of God's plan. And I finally said, hey, stop sending me this stuff. Because one, this is not part of God's plan. At no point, if Jesus said, I do what I see my Father does, at no point did he ever put cancer on somebody. At no point did he ever break somebody's leg. At no point did he put leprosy on anybody. No, he went around healing everybody. And it says he went around healing everybody. And he said, you being evil, give good gifts to your children. How much more so your heavenly Father who's good? He's only good. He only wants good for us. And so why would this is the enemy who, and that's the motto of Tricon Fitness, prepare so that your enemy fears you. Well, if my enemy is going to come and attack me and attack my wife like this, but he realizes he can't really beat us down, then he's got to be scared of me, not me scared of him. And our enemy is not really, it says we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. Our enemy is not the people around us. It's the one that wants to come and destroy all of us. And how does he do it? He destroys us by getting us selfish, getting us lazy, getting us, all these different things, getting us focused in the natural and not looking for that supernatural. Man, Jesus is awesome. And he said some crazy things and people don't even realize it. I challenge people, go read John 14, 15, 16, and 17. Just read it slowly. It'll change the way you see things.
Yeah, man. And like I went through my health battles, and even to this day, even when I go to bed at night, I say, by his stripes we are healed. It doesn't say we might be healed, we could be healed.
No.
It says we are healed. And because now I'm starting to get back into reading my Bible again, and I'm just back in John again, and he keeps talking about your faith heal is what makes you what heals you. And he said, he said, I am willing.
Right.
So if he says he is willing, that means yesterday, today, tomorrow, he's willing for
forever.
us to be healed,
all the time. Yeah.
So like I said, I'm going to put this will probably go out Thursday or Friday. This is going to go out, and I'll make sure I get all the links and everything in. So is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we log off?
Man, ultimately it's I just challenge people to challenge God in all this, because ultimately I want him to get the glory through her healing, and anybody who gives, I want them to be blessed. And I just challenge people to know that, man, he's good, and ask him to make himself real to you. And I appreciate everybody who does give for this. And that's it. And if there's anybody out there that's ready to get their health back and not, one thing I will say, the doctors did say both times, if she didn't live the way she lived, because she's better than I am about eating healthy and eating organic and taking care of herself. If she didn't live the way she lived, she'd been dead already. If she did the standard American diet, she'd been dead already.
So maybe it's time for some of us to change, our diets, especially me. I mean, even though I still take my supplements, I take my turmeric, I take my milk thistle, and I take my vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. I could still be eating better, so I get it. Guys, thank you so much for you guys for listening. Make sure that I'm going to drop the links. Make sure that you help out because it is Christmas. And instead of giving a gift, why don't we give the gift of life to somebody? Guys, I love you guys. I'm so grateful for my VM Nation. Kurt Balish, love you, brother. You're truly amazing. Tammy Moses, you're awesome. And guys, make sure you pick up our coffee because a percentage of all of our proceeds go to help Project Die Hard 22 with Brian Gibson to help veterans that are struggling with mental illness and also homelessness. So everything we do, we're trying to help save lives. And guys, just remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is but up. All right, guys, catch you on the flip.